So I wanted to make a quick video and talk about a few of my favorite things that I've done to my Suzuki Samurai. A few modifications that maybe will work for you in your build, or maybe you can just get a good takeaway from this. This list is going to change dramatically for you based on what you want to do with your car, what it's used for, where you live probably, and a list of other factors, budget, etc. Overall, I was going for an OEM plus style rig that I could drive to the trails, have fun at the trails, and then drive home safely and comfortably. And I think I've gotten pretty close with what I've done so far, so I just wanted to share a few of my favorite modifications. The number 3 thing is window tint. Throw a little tint on your windows and it's going to keep you a lot cooler when the weather's warm. If you go to the desert, if you drive around in summer, because more than likely your Suzuki Samurai does not have air conditioning. So window tint is one of my favorite things that I've done to my car, and also one of the most inexpensive things as far as modifications and improvements. Second thing, lift and tires. More than likely you're going to do a shackle lift in the front and the rear of your car. This here is a 4-inch shackle lift from Trail Tough, the Epic Trek Spring Under Axle lift kit. It calls for about 4 inches of lift front and rear. You can do smaller lifts like the Old Man Emu, or even just 2-inch shackles in the front will give you a nice little lift. And before I did the 4-inch lift, I had a 2-inch lift just on the front, and I left the rear stock, and I was still able to clear about a 29-inch all-terrain tire, which brings me to part 2 of number 2 is tires. So by going with a little more dirt-worthy tire, like an all-terrain, you're going to be able to soak up imperfections in the road like rocks and ruts, and it'll also allow you to air down a little bit more, make your ride a little bit smoother, because we all know a Samurai is not going to be the smoothest car. And when talking about lifts and improving ride quality, a lift will definitely help, but it also depends what shocks you're running with your lift and a few other factors. So just by lifting your car, don't exactly expect it to get a whole lot smoother, but if you do a few other little things, you can definitely improve the ride quality of your Suzuki Samurai. Depending on your budget and overall end goal, I would help that decide what kind of lift you need. When you're ready, you can always go bigger and better. But if you're just trying to improve the ride quality in the dirt, or even on the street, a small 2-inch lift with just the front shackles and a little bit more aggressive all-terrain tire can really do the job. Number 1, my most favorite modification I've done to the Suzuki Samurai is motor swap. So if you drive a Suzuki Samurai, you know you're getting nowhere fast. So any improvements you can do to help get a little more power out of your old 1.3 liter will get you, a little bit further, make you a little bit happier. I went with a 1.6 liter 16 valve motor out of a 1996 Suzuki Sidekick. There are quite a few write-ups online. So with something like a motor swap, there are lots of other things you can do and consider, like, a nicer radiator, battery, alternator, motor mounts, Doug Thorley exhaust and headers. Specifically with this engine, I went from about 60 horsepower stock to about 100 horsepower with the engine out of the Suzuki Sidekick. So overall, I'm really happy with it. Today, it's super dirty because we drove through a bunch of silt yesterday, but it's awesome. And also, don't expect to go fast even after you do an engine swap, because 100 horsepower is still not a lot, and I was actually a little bit underwhelmed when I finished mine. But that was also because I had been driving sports cars, and it had been a few years since I drove my slow old Suzuki Samurai. So overall, I would say, investing in a fun motor swap is going to be worth it. It's going to be a solid improvement. I can still do freeway speeds comfortably, which is kind of what I was after, being able to get to and from the trails comfortably and having a better time than I was with a stock Suzuki Samurai. So there are also a lot of things you can do to improve your trusty old 1.3 liter Suzuki engine. But for me, my number 1 most favorite modification I've done to my Suzuki Samurai is a motor swap. So those are my top 3 modifications that you can do to your Suzuki Samurai. If you're looking to improve your ride quality, go a little faster, and just have a better time without getting too crazy and having to chop up your stock nice body, I would go window tint, lift kit, and tires, and motor swap.